So you want to have a successful law firm. There's 7 main parts of every successful law firm. There's also 7 main parts of every struggling law firm. Get these 7 main parts working together and in alignment, and you can have a $1 million law firm quicker than most lawyers believe possible, on account of the fact that most lawyers don't even believe that it's possible to ever have a $1 million law firm. And if you get these 7 main parts working properly, you can go from nothing to $1 million in gross revenue in about 36 months. And I say 36 months because usually there are a lot of mistakes that you have to sort of zig and zag and 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But the truth of the matter is you can walk out of this room today with $1 million law firm. And all of the non-attorney salespeople in the room today, you can walk out of here with a 6-figure income today from this room. You don't even have to be here for all 3 days of this workshop. The 7 main parts, just to refresh your recollection from the homework, which I hope you all listened to. Did everyone listen to the homework? Yeah? Okay, good. I'm going to operate on the assumption that you did listen to the homework. If you didn't listen to the homework, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand and identify yourself, but I will just say that you should probably listen to it tonight, because there's things that we're going to be doing over the next 3 days that will make more sense to you if you've done the homework. You'll be at a little bit of a disadvantage today. You'll catch up. You won't be completely lost, but if you listen to the homework tonight, it'll just all make more sense to you, and you'll get more value out of the next 2 days after that. So the 7 main parts, just to refresh your recollection, are marketing, which leads to sales. If you don't do marketing, you don't need sales. Sales, which leads to production. If you don't do sales, then you don't need any production. There's no demand for services, right? Production, which leads to people. If there's no demand for production, if there's no production that's needed, then no staff is needed either, right? You don't need associates and paralegals and legal secretaries and receptionists. You don't need all these people in the business if there's no demand for the services to be produced. It's almost like you've got these brilliant lawyers and paralegals and legal secretaries and whatnot who are like ready to go, but they're waiting for an order. And if the order doesn't come in, they're just kind of like waiting to go. And eventually, they just sort of sit down, chill out, get dull, and then they have to go away. So marketing leads to sales. Sales leads to the need for production. The requirements for production demand people. And people need physical plant. They need stuff to work with. They need a place to work. They need tools to work with. They need technology. They need software. They need systems. They need processes. They need procedures. They need infrastructure. They need the intellectual property of the firm to do their job. Again, if there's no demand for services to be rendered, then there's no need for any of that, because what would be the point? It'd be like having a restaurant with no customers, right? You've got this great stove and this amazing refrigerator and all these great recipes and the world's greatest chef, and the staff is all tuned up and ready to go and jump into perfect service, except there's no one ordering any food. Everything else is for naught. Yes? So sales is really the bottleneck. Sales is the linchpin. Sales is the thing that converts it from being a giant fucking waste of time and money into being a productive venture that creates value in this world. Not just for the owner of the firm, but for the consumers who have problems and opportunities that call for the services of the firm to make their lives and their businesses better. You're starting to get the sense that I think of sales as more than just a transactional thing. because I do. And I think if you understand the context in which the sale happens, it'll elevate your thinking of the role of salesperson to the higher place that it deserves to be. So marketing leads to sales, sales leads to production, production requires people, people require physical plant, which means the physical space, the tools, the furniture, the equipment, but also the documented processes and procedures and systems and checklists and templates and instructions for how things get done, the intellectual property of the firm. If all 5 of those pieces work together, you're going to need to keep track of things. One of the things you're going to hopefully be keeping track of a lot is money. So you've got financial controls. The 6th part of every successful law firm is the financial controls and the metrics. Keeping track of the revenue, keeping track of the expenses, making sure that the gross profits actually exist from which you can then pay static and dynamic overhead. If you get all this managed properly, what you have left over is net profit. You keep track of the budget. You keep track of the budget variance report. You keep track of the cash flow. You keep track of the work in process. You keep track of the accounts receivables. You keep track of the cash on hand in the operating account and the trust account. But that's not the only thing you can keep track of. You can keep track of a lot of things, which if you are going to be a really great salesperson, this is like music to your ears. Because really great salespeople, above and beyond everything else, they love keeping score. And if you don't love keeping score, you better learn to love keeping score, or I would encourage you to find something else to do with your career, because if you're not keeping score, your career is going to be marked with frustrations and confusion and poverty. So you keep score of how many leads you're getting. You keep score of how often you're converting those leads into clients. You keep score of how many times you have to meet with a prospective new client in order for them to become a client of the firm. So for example, you tell me you have a 100% conversion rate, but you've got to meet with each prospective client 10 times to convert them, versus give me someone else who's got a 50% conversion rate, but they only have to meet with each prospective new client once, and mathematically, I know who's going to make more money. You follow? So these are things we want to be keeping track of. And the reason why it's relevant for you as the salesperson, as the person who's meeting with a prospective new client for the purpose of helping them make an educated, informed decision about whether or not to engage the services of the firm, which is really all that sales is. The reason why it's important for you to be aware of the context in which the firm is operating is because you need to understand what's driving the business that you work for. You need to understand the motivations and also the pressure and the priorities of the owner. In the homework, you heard me make reference to the fact, and it is a fact, that the best race car drivers are the best engineers. The best race car drivers understand how the car works that they're driving. They might not be a mechanic. They didn't build the car, but they're able to express to the pit crew, they're able to describe to the mechanics, they're able to communicate in the proper language with the right vocabulary and terminology, the things they need to communicate for the mechanics, for the engineers, for the people who build the car to make the adjustments they need so that they can win the race, right? The best jockeys can communicate with the veterinarians about the health and the performance of the horse. You get the idea? The best salespeople can communicate with the owners of the business about what's going on in the business, at least from their perspective. The best salespeople are able to explain using proper terminology, not just the leads are weak, they're able to explain what's wrong with the leads. They're able to explain how the quality or the character or the considerations or the issues of the leads this quarter are different than what's showing up in the past, and that's why the conversion rates are changing. That way we can go back into the marketing and dial in the marketing differently. Wow, isn't that interesting? When we put nothing but white men in our ads, our black female prospective new clients have more hesitation to entrust their important matters with the firm. Historically, our conversion rate has been 75%. Now our conversion rate is dropping to 50%. Maybe the thing to do is to put black women back into our advertising, not just burn more cash promoting this service to black women using advertising featuring white men. You'll find that I'm going to be saying a lot of things that are politically incorrect throughout the next 3 days. Part of it is because we have to deal with truth and we have to deal with reality. And part of it is also because part of my job is to trigger you. Over the next 3 days, you're going to get triggered. Understand, it's not that I'm trying to be an asshole. It's that I have to trigger you because I have to put you into a situation where you're not all calm, cool, and collected, because you're not going to be all calm, cool, and collected when you're meeting with prospective new clients in the real world, right? Because prospective new clients in the real world, they're not kind, they're not forgiving, they're not always understanding, they don't always give you the benefit of the doubt, do they? Prospective new clients in the real world come to you, and they might be really good people, and usually they are, because most people are pretty decent people in this world. But they're coming to you usually dealing with a problem. They're usually dealing with something that is triggering them. They're afraid, they're uncomfortable, they're intimidated, they're out of their element, and they're coming from a place of fear. And to help them make a better life, you sometimes have to take them through the worst part of what's going on to get them out the other side of it, right? And it's kind of like when you bring your kid to the doctor and you have to give them the shot, right? You have to give them the vaccination. Now, you know that on the other side of this vaccination is a better life, yes? But the kid's going to scream, the kid's going to cry, the kid's going to carry on, the kid's going to react badly, the kid's is going to tell you, you know, they hate you. The kid's going to tell you everything they need to tell you to avoid that experience of getting the shot. And if you are more concerned about the kid liking you, then you're going to relent. Your kid won't get the vaccination, and then your kid's going to get sick. Congratulations. That makes you a shitty parent. You laugh, but this is exactly what salespeople do to their prospects every day. Sales is a very loving thing to do. It's one of the most professional, thoughtful, considerate things you can do for another person is help them make an educated, informed decision that leads to them having a much better life, right? Because 10 years from now, that person is not going to say, I remember that salesperson that I met with who let me off the hook, agreed with all of my bullshit excuses, bought into all of my stories, and didn't help me make a clear, rational, empowered decision that led to me having a better life. They're not going to remember that person. They're not going to remember that person at all. But they might remember, wow, I remember that salesperson I met with who cared enough about me to help me face the truth of my situation, to help me analyze what was really going on in my life, to help me really, truly investigate and think things through that led to me making that excruciating, courageous, decision that began the next better part of my life. Sales is truly an act of love. It's an act of generosity. It's an act of being considerate to another person. But you've got to be prepared to commit to give the other person love, give the other person security, and give the other person self-esteem. Because a salesperson who tries to get love from the prospective new client, that's the salesperson who's useless. That's a useless human being in the role of sales. If you're using your opportunity to guide and help another person make a courageous decision, and instead you use that opportunity to get that person to like you, you are a useless person in that role. If all of the people you meet with come out of your meetings and say, oh, I like that salesperson, I got a giant red flag on you that I got to fire you fast. You're looking at me strange. My son doesn't like the doctor who gives him the vaccination. He hates the fucking doctor who gives him the vaccination. And as we're turning down the street to go to the doctor's office, he knows the vaccination is coming, and he's already screaming about, I hate that doctor. What good would that doctor be to me if he was more concerned about my son liking him than protecting my son's health? Get the point? You got to be committed enough to help the other person make a courageous decision that you're willing to let them dislike you. You're willing to let them even hate you if that's what's needed to help them make the right decision for themselves. If you're not committed enough to helping the other person make a courageous decision that you're willing to let them dislike you, you're even willing to let them hate you if that's what's needed, well then please get out of sales. Because you're going to hurt a lot of people. Truly, you're going to hurt them. You got to be committed to giving the person security, not trying to get your security from the other person. In this case, we're talking about financial security. So you don't get your financial security from making the sale to this person. You get your financial security from the awareness that you can make as much money as you want to make by helping other people have a better life. You can make as much money as you want to make in this world by helping other people have a better life. You truly can. If you go into a sale thinking, I have to make this sale to get my financial security from this other person's decision, well, then how are you supposed to be in a position of leadership? How are you supposed to be able to guide this person? How are you supposed to be able to educate this person? How are you supposed to be able to call this person on his or her bullshit if you think you've got to make them give you money? That's not what your job is as a salesperson. Your job as a salesperson is to help people make educated, informed decisions. That's your job. And if all I've got to sell is ketchup and what they really need is mustard, then my role as a salesperson doesn't change one bit. It's to help them make an educated, informed decision. And if what they really need is mustard and all I have is ketchup, then my job is to educate and inform and help them make the decision not to hire my firm, but let's get them to another firm that sells mustard, because this firm doesn't do it. You see, I don't want you getting clients so you can make sales. I want you making sales so that you have the opportunity to earn a client for life. Make sense? most struggling salespeople, most struggling law firm owners too, for that matter, have it, as far as I'm concerned, all backwards. And since I'm not struggling financially, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of our members who we've educated about this are not struggling financially, and the vast majority of the law firms that are struggling financially have this completely backwards, I'm going to go out on a limb and say we're right and they're wrong. Okay? If they want to be right and continue struggling financially and not helping a lot of people, well, I mean, I guess that's their prerogative. But if you're going to measure as your criteria how many people you're able to help, how much you're able to help those people, and how much profit you're able to earn as a byproduct of running your business efficiently, then I think by all rational, objective measurements, you'd have to agree that the approach that I'm articulating is the right approach, and the other approach is the wrong approach. And the approach that is the wrong approach is let's get clients so that we can try to get work from them. The right approach, I think, is let's try to get any bit of work that we can so that we have the opportunity to earn a client. That's where you can start getting into thinking about the lifetime value of the relationship. Make sense? There's people in this room who have done hundreds of thousands of dollars of business with me over the years. It didn't start off as hundreds of thousands of dollars of business with me. It started off as a small little thing. It might have been a free report. It might have been a $40 book. It might have been a $200 info self-study product. It might have been a couple $1,000 workshop that came with a 100% money-back guarantee. But it gave me the opportunity to develop a relationship and to earn trust to create a lifetime of value in a very symbiotic way, right? And very often, the best thing you can do to begin earning that relationship of trust is help the person make the decision to hire a different firm instead of yours if your firm is the best firm in the world at creating and selling and delivering ketchup, and what the person really truly needs is mustard. Sometimes the greatest service you can be to the person is to help them make that decision, get clear about that in their mind, and then let's get them a referral to another law firm that does mustard. They'll come back to you. They really will. But if you go into it thinking you've got to get security from this person because your only way of getting any money is from this other person, then you can understand how that whole relationship gets perverted. Yes? Make sense? Okay. Hold on a second. And then last but not least is the motivation of self-esteem. And this is the main reason why, in my experience, non-attorneys generally make more effective salespeople of legal services than do lawyers. Because you didn't go to law school. Because you don't know all the gruesome details of how the sausages get made. Because you don't get your self-esteem by showing off how much you know about the law. And you don't get your self-esteem by showing off how much you know about the legal process. And you don't get your self-esteem by showing off all the stuff you learned in law school because you didn't go to law school. See, what you got to understand about lawyers is that most lawyers get their self-esteem by being great lawyers. And this really screws them up when they're meeting with prospective new clients, right? Because the client doesn't care how the sausages got made, right? Did anyone have sausages or bacon this morning? Any kind of a protein? Raise your hand if you had protein for breakfast. Do you really want to know where the protein came from? Of course you do. You want to know that it came from the protein farm. And it grew on the protein tree. My breakfast sausages came from the sausage tree. Someone went out to the sausage orchard, and they picked the sausages off of the sausage tree, and they put them into the pan and fried them up, and man, they were delicious. That's where I want to believe my sausages came from. Lawyers love to talk about where the sausages really came from. Lawyers love to drag the client through the sausage factory and give them a tour about how brilliant they are at making sausages. Yeah, you get it? The client doesn't want to know that. The client doesn't need to know that. It's almost harmful to the client if you tell them too much about it, because it will disgust them so much that they won't end up getting their protein. The appropriate place for lawyers to get their self-esteem about what great lawyers they are is from other lawyers. Because other lawyers are the only people on the planet who are going to understand how brilliant your lawyer is. Right? Let's say your lawyer is a brilliant, someone call out a practice area for me. Educational lawyer. Well, who in the world is going to be able to appreciate what a brilliant educational lawyer your lawyer is, other than other lawyers who do educational law? Not even bankruptcy lawyers will understand what a brilliant educational lawyer he is. Not even the best criminal defense lawyer will understand what a great educational lawyer he is. Is there anyone here who doesn't do educational law who can tell me 3 intelligent things about educational law? No. I went to law school. This is what I know about educational law. It involves education and the law. That's about it. You see, if he wants to get self-esteem, he's got to go find other educational lawyers who actually understand the ins and outs of educational law in order to find people who can appreciate how brilliant and sophisticated he is when it comes to educational law. But imagine if he's trying to get his self-esteem by getting the client who not only doesn't do educational law, but didn't even go to law school. Listen, I'm so hungry and desperate for self-esteem that I need to first spend 3 hours educating you about all these nuances of educational law so I can then show off to you what a great educational lawyer I am, because I don't get enough self-esteem in other areas of my life. Is it starting to sound familiar? This is exactly how most lawyers try to make sales, which is why they're so bad at it. And of course, then when the client is disgusted by the blood and guts of the sausage factory that you just forced me to go through, and the client is confused and overwhelmed by all of the data and information and details that you've just bombarded me with to try to get me to understand enough to appreciate you, and we all know a confused mind doesn't make a decision, and the client then says, I'm not going to hire your firm because I'm confused, because I'm intimidated, because I'm overwhelmed, because I'm disgusted. The client, of course, doesn't say it that way. The client just says, I'm not going to hire your firm. What do you think that then does to the self-esteem of the lawyer who just spent the last hour trying to cram this lawyer full of so much stuff that they could maybe hopefully appreciate the lawyer? What do you think it does to that lawyer's self-esteem? Yeah, exactly. Knocks it down even worse, which means now they have to inflict even more information on the next client, and you see how this negative cycle begins, right? This is why I'm such a big fan of non-attorney salespeople meeting with prospective new clients, because you don't need to take the prospective new client through the sausage factory in order to educate them and help them make an informed, empowered decision to step into a better life. In fact, it's better if you don't. In the interest of full disclosure, I'm also a big fan of having non-attorneys making in the role of salespeople, because quite candidly, you didn't go to law school, which means you can't go and start your own law firm and take all the clients with you. It's true. I would be very disingenuous if I didn't pretend like that was part of the big reason why I really encourage all of our members to have non-attorney salespeople because you're less dangerous to the firm than an attorney who is trained to be an effective salesperson. Because if I train an attorney on my staff to be the world's best salesperson, and that attorney creates relationships with all my clients, it's only a matter of time till that attorney comes to me and holds me hostage. Next, every minute that an attorney is making sales is a minute that the attorney is not working on legal files, right? So how insane is this for most lawyers to have attorneys stop working for a client who's already paid us, stop working for a client who's already got money sitting in the trust account, stop working for the client who's already signed on the line which is dotted, stop working for the client who just hung up the phone saying, what's the status of my case? Stop working for that client in order to meet with a potential new client who has not even yet hired us. I mean, how do you think this conversation would go down if the firm told the clients the truth? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith. Your case is not resolved yet. Yes, you see, the thing is we stopped working on your case for 3 hours yesterday in order to meet with some prospective new clients. How do you think that's going to go down? Right? Not real well. Well, of course, we wouldn't actually say that to the client. Instead, we systematically, habitually, pathologically lie to the clients by omission, or just flat out lie to the client. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith. Your case is not yet resolved. We've been swamped. Is that a true statement? Not really. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith. We haven't been able to finish your case just yet. Your life is still in a state of chaos and hell because this situation isn't yet resolved. Insert excuse here. Right? Because if you told the client the truth, you know what the client would say in response, don't you? You're fired. Of course. So for a whole bunch of different reasons, I'm a huge fan of non-attorneys being the ones who meet with prospective new clients and convert them from prospective new clients into paying clients. I just want to say a few words. It's in the homework. I know I already covered it in the homework, but I'm going to cover it again just so we're all clear. I have a bounty that I've put out into the world. Back in 2010, I started doing Microsoft and LexisNexis sponsored my company to go on a national CLE tour. So that means I went all over the country doing CLE speeches to thousands and thousands and thousands of lawyers over those years in all different states, all over the country, all different practice areas. These CLE speeches were done in cooperation with local bar associations and law schools for the most part. And whenever I would talk about non-attorney salespeople, there would usually be a lawyer in the audience who would raise, sorry to say, his hand. Sorry to say it, his old white hand. They're always old white men who would raise their hand, and they were like incensed, and they would say, that's a violation of bar rules. You can't have non-attorney salespeople. You got to have a law license to sell legal services. And by the way, most of the lawyers who said this had one other thing in common. Anyone want to guess what they are? They were all broke, exactly. They were all broke and working their ass off. And so, look, I'm licensed to practice law in the state of Florida. I'm not licensed to practice law in any other state in the country. I worked as a small law practice management advisor with the Florida Bar's Law Office Management Assistance Service for 4 years. where I became intimately familiar with all the bar rules around marketing and sales and law firm management and all that kind of stuff. I haven't studied bar rules in other states quite as intimately over the years. And it's possible that I could be giving really bad advice, which is not my intention. I never want to give someone bad advice. I never want to advise someone to do something to grow their law firm that violates bar rules. And so whenever I would be in front of an audience and someone would say, that violates bar rules, I would say, whoa, hold on a second. I'm not going to say that it doesn't violate bar rules. You're licensed to practice law in this state. From the looks of you, you've been practicing law in the state for a long time. I apologize if I've advised you to do something that violates bar rules in your state. Let me ask you a question. What do you bill by the hour? $200, $300 an hour. And I'd say, look, if I gave you $1,000, which is worth 3 to 5 hours of your time, would you show me the bar rules that say you have to be a lawyer, that you have to have a license to practice law in order to sell legal services? Because I certainly don't want to be going around telling people to do something that they shouldn't be doing. If I give you if I pay you for 3 to 5 hours of your time, will you find these bar rules that you're talking about and show me them? And you know how many lawyers have been able to show me bar rules in any state that say you have to be a lawyer to sell legal services? 0. So the bounty is out there. I share this with all of you and everyone who listens to this recording, that if anyone can find any bar rules in any state in the country that say you have to have a law license, you have to be admitted to the bar to sell legal services in that state, I would gladly pay you $1,000 to educate me. This bounty has been out there now since 2010. No one's taken me up on it. There's a difference between performing legal services and selling legal services. Performing legal services interferes with the sale of legal services. Performing legal services requires us very often to go into that sausage factory. Sale of legal services is very, very simple. It's just a conversation. It's a conversation that is conducted by a person who shows leadership, courage, and generosity. Leadership, courage, and generosity. Generosity enough to give love, give security, give self-esteem to the prospective new client. Courage enough to give that love, give that security, and give that self-esteem to a person who may or may not appreciate the gesture, even though it is for their own good. And leadership enough to know where this conversation needs to go, because we've done it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Yes? So we all understand where we're coming from? I don't know what I'm looking at, Joe. What about the microphone?
I thought you were going to.
Okay. That's the microphone. I am. But first, a little housekeeping. The name of this workshop is called How to Train Your Dragon. And it comes from the Disney movie. Any of you have had kids, you know, Train Your Dragon, the movie, right? So the whole premise of that movie is that everyone knows that dragons are these terrible, horrible, evil, vicious creatures. Everyone knows this. It cannot be debated because everyone knows it. The only problem is that everyone who knows it has actually never met a dragon in their life. And then, of course, the first time someone meets a dragon and discovers that dragons are actually pretty cool and can be really nice, that challenges the assumptions and the beliefs of the whole village, and this person is criticized and castigated and all that kind of stuff. So everywhere I go, lawyers all over this country know that having non-attorney salespeople is a terrible idea. The only problem is most of the lawyers who know that having a non-attorney salesperson is a terrible idea have never actually met a non-attorney salesperson. And once they meet a non-attorney salesperson, then they discover that having a non-attorney salesperson is actually a really great idea. And so, because I like cartoons, I had a very, very young kid when we first did this workshop. We started doing this workshop in 2016, just so you know. I've lost count of how many times we've done this workshop. But it's a really cool one. It starts off slow, it starts off mellow. For some of you who have been to other workshops with me where we start off with like a big bang and a big right? This is not that kind of workshop. This is the kind of workshop, it starts off slow and it ends that way. So pace yourself for the next 3 days because it's going to get wild. It'll be a lot of fun. Okay, so that's why we call non-attorney salespeople dragons. It comes from the movie How to Train Your Dragon, and somehow the name dragon just sort of stuck. I didn't decide to start calling them dragons. Someone called them dragons, and now you're all dragons. Congratulations. All right, so with that being said, who is going to be a dragon today? Raise your hand if you're a dragon. Keep your hand up. All right. If you're an attorney and you don't have a dragon, keep your hands up, keep your hands up. If you're an attorney and you don't have a dragon with you, raise your hand. Everyone keep your hands up. No one put your hands down. If you're an attorney and you don't have a dragon with you, raise your hand. Okay. So what I want to do is let's just move all the dragons to the front and non-dragons to the back. That's why that sign, read that sign next to you. What does it say? That's right. Dragons should be in the front, non-dragons in the back. Just pick up your stuff and move. Thank you. Are there any non-dragons in the front 2 rows? Are there any dragons in the back 2 rows? All right. Good. So, sales conversation is a very simple conversation. Where are you now? Where do you want to be in the future? Presumably, you want to be in a better place. And what do you want to avoid? You want to avoid being in a worse place. So where are you now? What do you consider to be a better place? What do you consider to be a worse place? Where are you now in terms of your time? Where are you now in terms of your money? Where are you now in terms of your reputation? When you study human nature, when you study civilization throughout civilization, you'll find that pretty much every human being on the planet, regardless of age, race, religion, wealth, or any other issue or anything else, pretty much views the world through the same basic prism. through the same basic lens. Most people think in terms of their time, they think in terms of their money, and they think in terms of their reputation. Is there anyone who doesn't view the world through the perspective of your own time, your own money, and or your own reputation? Okay. Most people think this way. Doesn't make you a selfish person, doesn't make you a bad person, it makes you a normal person, all right? By the way, most people, regardless of what language they speak, regardless of what religion they practice, regardless of their wealth, regardless of whether they're living in this country or any other country, you can be very, very, with a high degree of confidence, what most people think about first thing in the morning. Anyone who's heard me have this conversation before, please don't show off the fact that you can remember it. That doesn't impress us. Everyone else, would anyone like to venture a guess as to what you can be pretty sure that almost every human being wakes up and thinks about, regardless of race, religion, country of origin, sexual orientation, you name it? What does almost everyone wake up in the morning and think about? Going to the bathroom. That is right. It's exactly true. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a beautiful thing to know that we all have the same human experience, right? It's kind of hard to hate someone because of their race or their religion or their sexual orientation or whatever else when you wake up, when you realize this person, my sworn enemy, and I wake up every morning and we both think about the same thing. I got to go pee. Right? Most people think about the world in a very similar way. Most people think in terms of their time. They think in terms of how much time they've got left on the planet. They think in terms of what do they get to do with their time versus what do they have to do with their time. Yeah? Isn't that what you all think of? Is there anyone who doesn't think about your time at least once a day, every single day of your life? You all do. And I don't know any of you. How do I know this? How do I know that every one of you wakes up every day and thinks about where you're going to pee, and you think about how much time you've got left on the planet, what do you get to do with your time, what do you have to do with your time, how to make the best use of your time? Isn't that amazing that I know this about you and I don't even know your names? Right? Here's what else I know. I also know that every single day you're thinking about your money. I know that every single day you think about your money. Even when you're on vacation, you're thinking about your money. You're thinking about how much money you have. You're thinking about how much money you want. You're thinking about where you get your money from. You think about what you're going to do with your money. You think about the value you get for products, services, experiences in exchange for your money. You're constantly making decisions and thinking about money. Is there anyone who can tell me you haven't thought about money at least once in the last 10 years? I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Is there anyone who can tell me you haven't thought about money at least once every single day for the last 10 years? Can anyone remember one single day in the last 10 years where you haven't woken up and thought about going to the bathroom, where you haven't thought about time, and where you haven't thought about your money? Look at that. I don't know your name. I don't know your name. I don't know your name. I don't remember your name. I don't know anything about you at all. And yet I know these things about you. Isn't that amazing? It's not because I'm so smart. It's just because this is how all people are. When you understand that this is how all people are, you'll understand the power you can bring to a sales conversation, because everyone's thinking about the same things. And most people are thinking about the same things in very similar ways. There aren't quite so many unique stories out there as people like to believe. There's really only 16 different kinds of personality types walking the planet today. And if you understand these 16 different personality types, you understand that there's only 16 different ways to think about time. There's only 16 different ways to think about money, and there's only 16 different ways to think about reputation. Reputation could be the reputation with friends. What are my friends going to think of me? Reputation could be reputation with family. What's my family going to think of me? Reputation could be reputation with professional colleagues. What are my professional colleagues going to think of me? Reputation could be reputation with total strangers. What are total strangers going to think of me? Reputation could be, what am I going to think of myself when I see my face in the mirror? Is there anyone here who doesn't care what anyone else thinks about them? We all care what other people think of us. Here's a tip, by the way. I've been doing this for, since 1999 I've been doing this. Yeah. All I've been doing for 20 years now is helping lawyers build wildly successful law firms. I heard someone say this the other day, and I've decided to adopt it for myself. So I'm giving credit where credit is due. I didn't make this up. He said that he asked his mentor, "How did you get so smart?" And his mentor said, "I know everything about this much." I know everything about this much in the world. What I know is how to make law firms wildly successful businesses. I also know a lot about how to lose all of your money very quickly in the stock market. If anyone would like to learn how to lose all your money very quickly in the stock market, I know a lot about that too. I know a lot about how to be extremely disorganized. I know a lot about how to do a lot of things very badly too. I know a lot about how to call for help anytime my phone does anything that I don't know how to do and say help, because I don't know how to fix anything technology. There's a lot I don't know about. But this, I know everything there is to know about making law firms successful. And part of that is studying people, because law firms are really a function of people. Sales is a subset of that. Yes? All right. Reputation. We all think about what other people think of us. Oh, this was the tip that I was mentioning. The tip that I was mentioning is anytime you ask anyone or anytime anyone ever tells you, I don't care what anyone else thinks of me, you can be sure that person cares a lot about what other people think of him or her. You can also be sure that that person is not probably the most self-honest person in the world. I mean, think about how life would be if you truly didn't care what anyone else thought of you, right? All right. So where are you now in terms of your time? Where are you now in terms of your money? Where are you now in terms of your reputation? Where are you now in terms of how you use your time? Where are you now in terms of how you must use your time? Where are you now in terms of how you get to use your time? Where are you now in terms of how much time you've got left before X, Y, or Z milestones occur in your life, right? So if you're talking to a parent with a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old, what do you know they're thinking about in terms of their time? Someone call it out. You're thinking, how much time have I got left before this kid leaves home and goes to college? Right? I've got a limited amount of time to finish making an impact on this person before they go out into the world, and we'll see what happens. Money. Where are you now in terms of how much money you have? Where are you now in terms of how much money you earn? Where are you now in terms of how you earn the money you get? Where are you now in terms of the risks that your money faces, the risks that your income faces? Got it? And reputation, where are you in terms of your reputation with friends, your reputation with family, your reputation in the community, your reputation with professional colleagues, and or maybe even just your reputation with yourself. Got it? And I say even just your reputation with yourself, but the truth of the matter is that's the most motivating reputation of all. Now, that's where they are now. And you help them articulate this. And then the next thing you help them articulate is how you feel about this. How do you feel about being where you are now in terms of your time? How do you feel about being where you are now in terms of your money? How do you feel about being where you are now in terms of your reputation? So here's a hint for you. You don't work for an ice cream store. Yeah? You're not adopting puppies to new families. You work for a law firm. People don't come to see you for fun. People don't come to see you because they got nothing better to do. No one's coming to see you just to get out of the rain. They're coming to see you because there's something about their time or their money or their reputation that they're dissatisfied with. If they were completely happy about their time and their money and their reputation, why in the world would they be coming to see you? Can anyone fathom a reason, a hypothetical scenario, a situation at all about why anyone would ever go see a lawyer or a law firm if everything about their time and their money and their reputation was satisfactory? Anyone? Anyone? I've been posing this question for 20 years, and no one's given me an answer that makes any sense. Even in practice areas that are generally positive, buying a house, securing a trademark, adopting a child, starting a business, positive things. There's still something about time, money, and reputation that I want to make better, or I wouldn't be making a change at all, right? How do you feel about where you are now? Why? 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 Why do you feel that way? Why do you feel that way? Why do you feel that way? Until you go at least 3 levels deep with most people, you're probably not going to be talking truth. Usually the first time you ask a person how they feel, they're a little bit put off because most people had never been asked that question before. Most people have never actually had a conversation with a person who cares enough about them to ask why they feel, or to ask them how they feel about the situation that they're in. And certainly, most people have never been questioned why they feel that way. And certainly, most people have never been challenged, is that really why you feel the way you feel? And certainly, most people have never really been asked to go deeper to get to the real, often politically incorrect, often embarrassing, often uncomfortable, sometimes really, really ugly reasons why they feel the way they feel about being in the situation that they're in and wanting to make the change. And until we get to that bedrock of motivation, we're not going to be in a position to really help this person make the kind of courageous decisions that they want to make. Does this intellectually make sense to everyone? Yes. All right. This is why I spend so much time talking about the need to be committed to giving love, giving security, and giving self-esteem. Because as you dig deeper and deeper through the politically correct and the bullshit answers to get to the bedrock, you very often encounter resistance. People often are defensive, people are sometimes resistant, people are sometimes embarrassed, people are very unfamiliar with going this deep with most other people. And you got to be committed enough to helping them that you're willing to do what most people aren't willing to do to help them get to some clarity around where they are now and how they feel about where they are right now. Because until we get to that clarity, they're not going to be motivated. They're not going to be able to find the motivation to make the courageous decisions and the changes they need to make. Because change, let's face it, is scary. Make sense? All right. Then we go to the next part of the conversation, which is, where would you like to be? If I had a magic pill, if I could wave a magic wand, where would you like to be? Where would you like to be in, let's just say, about 18 months? Where would you like to be in 24 months? If I could wave a magic wand, if I had a time machine and we could step into it and take it to any place that you want to be 24 months from now, where would you be in terms of your time and your money and your reputation? Now, the amount of time you're going to use in this conversation is going to be largely dependent on the nature of the services that you're providing. All right? So I like to use 18 to 24 months because it typically takes us about 18 to 24 months to effect a complete transformation in a law firm. We're going to ask them to commit to an 18-month contract, so I want them thinking in terms of an 18 to 24-month time horizon because that's the kind of relationship that I'm going to look to create. In your practice area, you might not need to think 18 to 24 months in advance. If you're in a practice area where you make changes happen in 6 months, then you're going to be helping them think about where they want to be in the future 6 months from now. If you're in a practice area like immigration, for example, where it's always going to be about 2 years, then you want to probably be talking to them about, in the next 2 to 3 years, where do you want to be? Don't go 10 years into the future. It's too easy for people to engage in fantasy thinking when you go too far into the future. You want to go far enough into the future that it gives you room to actually help them, but close enough to the present that it feels more real to them. Does that make sense? Okay. So where do you want to be in the future? Again, in terms of time, money, reputation. And then after you help them articulate where they would prefer to be in terms of time and money and reputation, what do you guess the next question is going to be about? No, that's red. No, would you feel? Come on. How would you feel if you woke up 24 months from now? So where you are right now in terms of your time is your kids are going to be going to college in 3 or 4 years. In terms of your time, where you are is you don't get to spend enough time with your kids because your law firm is eating you alive. Where you are right now in terms of your time is you're miserable most of the time because your law firm runs like shit because you never even wrote a business plan in your life. You don't have a clue what a marketing plan is. You have no training on sales. You've never actually learned how to or bothered to sit down and document any processes or systems or procedures. Your staff is running amok and you don't have anyone helping you because you don't have any job descriptions. You never learned how to hire, train, manage, or make a profit with any staff. You have no financial controls or idea what financial controls are, so the way you feel about your time is like shit. That's how you feel. I'm not telling you this. This is the things that people tell me. How do you feel, what's going on right now with your money? I'm not making enough money. I have to work too hard to get my money. I have insecurity about my income. Okay, how do you feel about that? I feel bad. Why do you feel bad? I feel bad because I think that a better parent would have more security over their income. Why do you feel that a better parent would have more security over their income? Well, my parents always had security over their income, and so I feel like if I am going to be a good parent, I should have more security over my income like my parents. Okay, now we understand where this person's coming from. Flip it around. Why do you feel bad about not having security over your income? Well, because my parents never had any security about over their income. I grew up with parents who had no idea where the next meal was going to come from, and I know how horrible that felt as a child to struggle and to always worry and to always see your parents having to make these horrible sacrifices just to put food on the table, and I never want to do that to my own children. You see how we went in two completely different directions here? But you don't get to the truth until you dig deeper. How you feel about your reputation. Why? All right, so let's suppose we could get into a magic time machine and transport ourselves 24 months into the future. Where would you prefer to be? How would you like things to be? If we could just wave a magic wand and instant presto, you can make things better. How would you like things to be? Let's talk in terms of your time. Well, in terms of my time, I'd like to be able to get to my kids' after-school activities more often. In terms of my time, I'd like to be able to take next summer off because it's the last summer I've got before my kid goes off to college. How would you like to be in terms of your time? Well, I'd like to be not miserable all the time because my law firm wouldn't be eating me alive. Where would you like to be in terms of your money? Well, I don't really need to make any more money. I just want to have more security over my ability to bring in the money. I want to have more predictable money. Or I need to make more money. Whatever it is. You get where I'm coming from? Same thing with reputation. Okay, if we could get into this time machine, if we had a magic wand, if I had a magic pill, and you could instantly be there 24 months from now, I want you to imagine you're waking up 24 months from now. How would you feel about yourself if you woke up 24 months from now and you had taken that summer off with your kid? You had been to most of his or her after-school activities. If you had produced, if you realized you had finally become more comfortable about your ability to produce money for your family. If you felt better about your reputation because you weren't always such a cranky old grouch coming home being miserable. How would you feel about yourself if 24 months from now you made that happen, if you made this happen in your life? Well, I'd feel good. Why would you feel good? Well, I'd feel good because it meant that I did things that made my life better. Why would you feel good because you did things that made your life better? Well, because then I would have given my family a better life. Why would you feel good about giving your family a better life? Well, I would feel good about giving my family a better life because it means that I lived up to the same standards that I grew up with my own parents. I would feel good because it means that I didn't sentence my children to a life of guilt and shame and fear and insecurity like I had, watching the way my parents had to struggle all the time to give me shoes. See, I'm going back and forth just to show you it doesn't matter what they say. What we're trying to do is get down to the real reasons why they're motivated. Okay. Now we go to step 3. Step 3. Okay, so I understand this is where you are now, and you repeat their now back to them. And where you want to be is you want to be in this better place. And the reason why you want to change from where you are now to where you want to be is because of why reasons. Do I have this all straight? And you let them tell you if you got it right or not. And very often what you'll find is that they left things out and they will give you more information. Now that they feel comfortable, now that they see that you genuinely give a shit, now that they feel safe, that they're not in a judgmental place, and that instead they're with a person who just sincerely wants to understand them and give them love and give them security and give them self-esteem and help them find clarity, most people at this point will start really opening up with you and giving you a lot more information. You repeat all this stuff back to them, make sure you got it all clear, and then you go to step 3, which is, let me ask you a question. Why do you think you are where you are right now instead of being able to be where you want to be? Isn't this kind of an obvious question? The answer is almost always going to be some version of, I don't know how. Almost always. Why? So let me ask you a question. You just told me that your law firm is only grossing $200,000 a year. You just told me that out of that $200,000 a year, you're only taking about $110,000 a year out of it, and you're working your ass off, and you never see your family, and you have no idea where the next case is going to come from, and you don't have anyone to help you, and you know that if you ever got sick or anything ever happened to you, the whole thing would come crashing down because you have no infrastructure, you have no policy, you have no procedures, you have no systems, therefore you don't have any staff, and the whole thing is riding on you. And you're worried about your professional reputation because if something were to happen, it would all come crashing down. And you really feel bad about your current relationship and your reputation with your family because you're coming home as a cranky old grouch every day, and you're never there for your kids when they really need you. And you're an absentee spouse, mother, father, husband, wife, significant other, whatever. And you feel like crap about that because blah, 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 insert your real reasons that you told me. And you told me that where you really would prefer to be, in 24 months from now, you'd like to get to the point where your law firm goes from grossing $200,000 a year to grossing $500,000 a year, which is completely possible and realistic in our experience. And the reason you like to get it from $200,000 to $500,000 a year is not because you necessarily want to go from making $125,000 a year to $200,000 a year, but rather because you want to go from making $110,000 a year, or whatever number I gave you, to $135,000 a year, because that's what it's going to cost to live the way you want to live 24 months from now. Not your final ultimate goal, but that's how you want to be living 24 months from now. But more importantly, you want to be able to invest into bringing on some staff and creating some systems and some procedures and some infrastructure so that the whole thing won't come crashing down if or when you get sick. And what's really most important to you is having that infrastructure and having that leverage so that you can come home more often to be there for your kids, for their after-school activities, take that summer off before they go to college, blah, 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 blah. That's where you want to be. Do I have that all straight? Yes. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Why do you think you are where you are right now? And I repeat the whole thing back to them, instead of where you want to be. Why do you think you are where you are right now instead of where you want to be? And I'm just telling you from having done this for 20 plus years that the vast majority of the time, the answer you should be prepared to get is some variation of, I don't know how. Why else would they be where they are now instead of where they want to be? Yeah? You repeat that back to them also. You don't know how. Okay. So then we go to step 4. So right now, this is where you are in terms of your time and your money and your reputation. And you repeat the whole thing back to them again. You're repeating their story back to them again and again and again. You're just constantly repeating their story back to them. All right? So this is where you are now. Is that okay, Joe? All right. This is where you are right now in terms of your time, your money, and your reputation. You don't have enough time. You want to take the summer off. Last summer you're ever going to have with your kids before they go away to college. Last chance to really set those final memories, to really set those last set of values. In terms of your money, you really don't need to make a lot more money, but you want to have more security over where your money is coming from, or maybe it's you got to make more money. Whatever the answer is. And where you are with your reputation is, you really want to stop your family from thinking of you as a grouch. You want your kids to see you as being a happy person. You want to be a role model, that work can be fun, whatever. And you're worried about your professional reputation because you know that if you ever step off a curb and get hurt, your whole reputation is going to come crashing down because the entire firm depends on you and only you. and you feel bad about this because of this, and you feel bad about this because of that, and the real reason is you feel bad about this because you want to be the kind of parent for your kids that you had as a parent. The real reason why is because you don't want to be the kind of parent that you had, and you want your kids to have a better role model, whatever the answer is, right? And where you want to be instead is 18 months from now, 24 months from now, you want to wake up in this better place. You want to be able to have more time with your kids. You want to take that summer off. You want to be able to be at more of your kids' after-school activities. You want to have more security over your money, or you want to make more money, or whatever with money. And with reputation, you want to know that if you get hit by a bus, that your professional colleagues won't find a giant mess, and your family's taken care of, and you want your kids to, know you, remember you as a good, happy person, not a miserable wretch. And you feel blah, 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 reason why, and the reason why you think you are right now where you are instead of where you want to be is because bottom line is you just don't know how to do it. You've never taken a marketing class in your life. You've never taken a sales class in your life. You've never taken a management class in your life. You've never taken a financial controls class in your life. You don't know what a business plan is. You don't know how to write a business plan. You don't know how to run your law firm against a business plan. You've never studied marketing. You don't know how to do a marketing plan. You don't know how to create marketing systems that consistently, predictably, reliably bring in prospective new clients into the firm. You don't know how to do sales. You know how to consistently, predictably, reliably, professionally, ethically, and comfortably convert prospective new clients into paying new clients. You don't know how to hire. You see where I'm going with this? Starting to get the sense that I've had this conversation like 1,000 times. So this is why you are where you are right now. So let me ask you, if you keep doing things the way you're doing things now, if we let you walk out the door today without making a decision to make a change, fast forward the same 18 to 24 months, or whatever time frame you're going to use in your business, where do you think you're likely to wind up? See, we talked about if we were to help you make some changes in your business, if we were to help you make some changes in your life, if we were to help you make some changes in whatever you're helping them make changes with, that you'd go from where you are now to where you want to be in a better place. But if we didn't do anything, where do you think you'd be likely to wind up 18 to 24 months instead? In terms of your time, your money, and your reputation. And if you were to wake up 18 to 24 months from now in this same place or in this worse place, how do you think you'd probably feel about that? The next, why? Why? Now, if they believe that with your help or without your help, they would likely wind up in exactly the same place, what have you got on your hands? If they believe that with your help or without your help, they're likely to wind up in the exact same place, what have you got on your hands? You either have on your hands someone who is uneducated, uninformed, and unclear, and your job is to educate them, inform them, and help them really find some clarity. Yeah? Or you have someone who's actually 100% correct, and what you have is not a very good prospect for your services. Because if where you are now is the same as where you're going to wind up with or without my help, then you shouldn't hire me. What would be the point? Yeah? This delta between where the person wants to wind up versus where the person is likely to wind up This is where we bring value. This is where we earn revenue. The bigger the delta between where they want to wind up versus where they believe they're likely to wind up, the more value we can bring. Let's just talk in terms of dollars, just to simplify this. It's not just a function of dollars, because some people are more motivated by reputation or time than they are money. But let's just talk dollars just to keep this simple, okay? If with my help, you could potentially go from earning $100,000 a year to earning $100,000 a year, and without my help, you could potentially go from, or you're likely to go from earning $100,000 a year to earning $100,000 a year, how valuable could my services possibly be? Even if I give you the greatest training, the greatest advice, the greatest coaching, the most accountability, even if I give you the best service that's ever been invented on the planet, how valuable could my services possibly be if with my services or without my services, you're still going to be making $100,000 a year 5 years from now? Yeah? Conversely, if today you're making $100,000 a year, and with my help, I show you that I could very likely help you make $1 million a year, and without my help, you could very likely go down to earning only $50,000 a year, or maybe you'll still be making the same 100, how valuable could my services potentially be? What would you be willing to pay to go from making $100,000 a year to making $1 million a year? How much? How much? Someone call out a number. There's no wrong answers here. You'd be willing to pay $200,000 to go from earning $100,000 a year to $1 million a year. Anyone else have a different number? Would anyone be willing to pay me $300,000 a year? $300,000 once to learn to go from earning $100,000 a year to $1 million a year? Raise your hand if you would. Raise your hand if you wouldn't. You wouldn't? Well, you already make $1 million a year. Raise your hand if you'd be willing to pay me $400,000 if you could learn how to go from making $100,000 a year to $1 million a year. Raise your hand if you wouldn't. You wouldn't? You wouldn't pay me $400,000 if you could learn how to go from making $100,000 a year to $1 million a year. So you would. Raise your hand if you'd be willing to pay me $1 million to go from earning $100,000 a year to earning $1 million a year. Raise your hand if you wouldn't. Why wouldn't you? Why in the world wouldn't you pay me $1 million once to learn how to make an extra $900,000 a year for the rest of your life? Didn't say I could guarantee it. If you believed it was true, though. So what you were really saying is you'd be willing to take a $200,000 gamble. See, I'm not asking anyone here to take a gamble. I'm going to educate you about what we're going to be able to do for you. We're going to make an informed decision. And if you believe that I can help you go from where you are now to where you want to be, and you believe that that's, if what I say we're going to do for you logically makes sense, yeah? And if you believe that I am a trustworthy, reliable person who has integrity, right? And I didn't say you had to give me the money all up front with no guarantees. I didn't say that. So who would be willing to give me $1 million to learn to go from making $100,000 a year to making $1 million if we put the money in a lawyer's trust account, and after you make your first $1 million, I get the money back? See my point? But what happened there? What circuit got tripped in your minds where you made the entirely irrational decision not to pay me $1 million once to learn how to make an extra $900,000 a year forever? Something emotional happened, and it tripped a circuit. Hang on, let me give you a microphone. All right, I'm going to give everyone a lesson. This is a microphone. This is how you use a microphone. You ready? The microphone touches your chin and moves with you. So when you go left, the microphone goes left. When you go right, the microphone goes right. When you go up, the microphone goes up. When you go down, the microphone goes down. This is how you use a microphone. Got it? This is how you don't use a microphone. I'm going to turn my belt mic off. This is how you don't use a microphone. You don't use a microphone like this. Hold the microphone really far away from you so no one can hear you. It doesn't work because it's touching your hand. It has to actually be right up by your mouth. Got it? You also don't use a microphone like this. You don't put a microphone down on the table and then just start talking. It doesn't pick up on it that well. It has to be right by your mouth. All right? You also don't use a microphone as a pointing device. Use a microphone as a pointing device. The microphone doesn't work if you hold it away from your face. So this is what I'm thinking about this, and that's what I'm thinking about that. Do we all understand how a microphone works? Yes? All right. I'm going to throw this microphone. Do you think you'll catch it? You ready?
All right. So when
I did hit your hands with the microphone.
You did.
All right.
You did. If I were a running back or, I'd be in big trouble with my fans. So part of it, I think, is that it's about relationship, and the person you're talking to not only has to believe in you, they have to believe in themselves.
Great point. The first time that I wrote a check to someone, and didn't actually write a check, I just said, put it on my credit card, for $100,000 to give me coaching. And it was on terms. It wasn't like 100 up front. It was 100 over time. He helped me understand that the reason he was charging me $100,000 had less to do with his value, more to do with my value. This is important for everyone here to understand if you're going to be in sales. All right? So you can do the math, right? How many participants are there? Raise your hand if you're a dragon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's 15 firms times, I think it was $6,000. It's $90,000 in revenue that we're earning, that I'm earning for 3 days. That's $30,000 a day. I am not so presumptuous to say that I get to earn $30,000 a day because I'm so great. I get to earn $30,000 a day because you're so great. See, the value of my services has much less to do with me than it has to do with you. And this is an important distinction to understand between sales versus marketing. All right? If I'm meeting with prospects who don't value themselves, it doesn't matter how great I am. It doesn't matter how hard I work. It doesn't matter how much I care. It doesn't matter what I do. I can't give someone $50,000 worth of value if they don't value themselves, if they're not going to do anything with it. Make sense? A lot of law firms do a crappy job of marketing and then expect sales to suddenly do magic, right? If marketing keeps bringing in people who don't value themselves, sales can't make magic out of that, right? Now, the problem is most law firm owners have no idea what sales actually is. And most law firm owners also have no idea what marketing actually is. And they think that the value of the services is based on the firm. And if I can just tell you how great the firm is, and if I can just tell you how great the lawyers in the firm are, and if I can just tell you about all of our credentials and all of our awards and how much we care about you and how wonderful we are, you will suddenly think it makes sense to pay $1 to get 50 cents worth of value because you don't actually value yourself enough. You understand the problem here? This is why goes back to the thing I was saying earlier, that it's really important for the salesperson to understand all 7 parts of the law firm to be able to help the marketing team by giving the marketing team feedback. And not just saying, get me more leads. If I get you 1 million leads and I got you booked 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, back to back to back to back with leads, but the people I'm bringing you don't value themselves enough to make it make any sense to hire the firm, we're never going to get anywhere. More leads isn't usually the problem or the solution, right? Maybe I need to say to you, look, the people you're bringing me, even if we knocked it out of the park, even if we got them the best results possible, there's just no way for them to get the value out of the services we're delivering. What we need to do is either figure out a way to deliver the services more efficiently through the production, the people, and the systems, so we can reduce the price and still earn the profit we need to earn while giving the person the ability to buy money at a discount from us. Or you need to bring me people who actually have more potential to make use of the services and the products that we offer. The salesperson has to be able to articulate these things. And if you're working for a firm and they're unwilling to hear these things, then you might be working for the wrong firm. That's a whole different conversation. All right? Any questions about any of this before we move on?
Those 4 steps, can those be abbreviated? Do they need to be involved in every sales conversation? I mean, I feel like sometimes what we do is very, in terms of our practice or our practice areas are very crisis. And sometimes people come in just, on the verge of hiring us before they get in. So I feel like going through all those steps would piss somebody off if they're just trying to hand us their credit card.
All right, I'm really glad you asked that question. I'm going to answer it 2 different ways, because I think there's 2 questions built into one. Question number 1. If a person comes in and they're like, here's your card, how do I hire you? Throw this entire thing in the garbage, right? The purpose of having this conversation is to help the person find the clarity to hire the firm for the right reasons. Not just hire the firm, but hire the firm for the right reasons. I'd rather the person not hire the firm if they're going to hire the firm for the wrong reasons. Why? Because if they hire the firm for the wrong reasons, how are you ever going to satisfy them? What does your firm do?
Primarily Medicaid crisis planning.
Okay, I'm going to hire, so what is a completely unrealistic reason to hire your firm that makes no sense, that you'll never, ever, ever be able to make me happy?
For a divorce or something?
Regarding Medicaid.
Okay. I don't know. It's pretty magical stuff, it feels like, what we do. There's no guarantees, but I mean, we've done hundreds upon hundreds of cases, and we've gotten we have a 100% approval rate, protecting our clients' assets. I mean, it truly feels like a unique area of the law. But yeah, I mean, we can kind of promise the world and deliver in a lot of cases.
I'm sorry?
I said we can kind of promise the world and deliver in most cases. So I'm not really sure what a unrealistic or a bad reason to hire a firm would be.
Let's talk to your dragon.
Okay.
Toss your microphone to him or her. All right. What are some unrealistic expectations that people come to you with that you have to set them straight to protect his ass? Remember that lesson about how to use a microphone?
I would say that sometimes we can promise things that we can't really get, like documents and some things like that. And they come to us and think that we can do everything, and we kind of promise the sky.
I'm asking, what are some examples of some things? Educate the rest of us, because I don't know the
Yeah.
answer. What are some examples of things that a prospective client might come to your firm hoping or expecting or wishing for, that you just have to manage their expectations because that's not realistic?
I'm really not sure.
Time. Think in terms of time.
Okay. Yeah. 2 months? 3 months? Yeah, 3 months.
You fucking shyster piece of shit. I thought this was going to get done in 2 weeks. God damn it. Now I'm filing a bar grievance, and I want a refund, and I want an apology letter, and you owe me damages because I based all my plans on 3 weeks. You fucking piece of shit. Time. No, you come in, hire your firm, expecting a reasonable result in an unreasonable time frame. They're hiring your firm for the wrong reasons. Got it? Talk in terms of money. What's an unrealistic expectation in terms of money?
For us to do Medicaid restructuring for less than $8,500.
What's an unrealistic expectation for them in terms of the monetary results you can produce for them?
What they want to pay?
No, the outcome. How much money can you get for me? What can you accomplish for me?
Oh, I mean, we help them save long-term care in nursing homes.
Okay. So I'm not in the private suite, you shyster piece of shit. I paid you $8,500, you blood-sucking fuck. I thought I was going to get an upgrade. That's what I thought. I thought I was going to get an upgrade, I thought I was going to get a private suite, and I thought it was all going to happen in 3 weeks. Fuck you, give me my money back, and I'm filing a bar grievance. I've hired you for the wrong reasons if I think I'm hiring you to get it done instantly. I've hired you for the wrong reasons if I think that I'm hiring you to get an upgrade, for example, a private suite. What's another unrealistic expectation? In terms of reputation. Who's hiring you?
The families,
Specifically,
normally the kids.
kids. The kids, or more likely, more often, a kid.
A kid.
And that kid is hiring you partially for reputation. And what is an unrealistic reputational outcome that the kid might have that they're hoping, dreaming, and expecting your firm to provide?
That they'll be the best son or daughter.
You fucking piece of shit. Now I'm really fucking mad, right? Because now I'm really not getting what I desperately, in my heart, really want, which is mom to finally fucking love me. And I went through all this, and I gave you the $8,500, and I wanted it done in 3 weeks because that's when her birthday is. And it didn't get done. And I'm still the least favorite. And all my brothers and sisters still make more money than me, and they're still her favorite. I'm trying to impress upon you that it's not enough that they just hire you. You are putting yourself in harm's way if you allow them to hire you for the wrong reasons. Now, maybe it's never blown up in your face. Maybe it never will blow up in your face. But when you're in my position and you see bar grievances after bar grievances after bar grievances after bar grievances after bar grievances and malpractice actions after malpractice actions after malpractice, sooner or later, the odds are against you that you're going to get through your whole career letting people hire you for whatever random, arbitrary reasons they want, and that it won't blow up in your face at some point, because probably it will. At the very least, they're hiring you for the wrong reasons, and they go away merely satisfied, as opposed to going away as raving fans if you help them hire you for the right reasons. That make sense? I forgot how this question got started. But do we all get the point? Throw the mic back to him, please. Oh, that was a good catch. Who cares if you knocked over the water? Knock over the whole fucking table if you got to catch the mic. I don't care.
We dived into the guy in front of me.
Dive, knock it over, computer breaks.
No, I was just saying it was.
I went to that Train Your Dragon marketing workshop and I broke a clavicle.
As far as the.
You signed the release. It's okay.
That's right. I did. We got started on this because I was curious if you can abbreviate this, if you need to get that in depth with everything.
Right. So my first answer is, if they're coming in to hire you and you're confident that they're hiring you for the right reasons, yeah, forget about all this stuff, right? This is largely designed to help them hire you for the right reasons, to help them find clarity to hire you for the right reasons. If you're already pretty confident that they're coming in for the right reasons, one quick lap around the track, a light dusting of what is the best scenario outcome you're hoping for, and they're saying things that make it sound like it's realistic, make sure you put it in your engagement agreement, and we're good to go. All right? Next, which is the other part of the question, I have myself personally sold probably into the tens of millions of dollars of professional services, between selling legal services, which I used to sell, selling accounting services, which, believe it or not, I used to sell, selling insurance services, which I used to sell, selling professional real estate consulting services. I've sold a lot of different kinds of professional services. And that's not even counting all the products that I've sold. I've sold clothing, I've sold art, I've sold cars, I've sold real estate, I've sold, did I say clothing? I sold clothing. I sold all kinds of stuff. I sold products, I sold services. Tens of millions of dollars of just professional services. And if you take the people who I've trained how to sell services, we got to be talking about, $500 million, $1 billion worth of professional services, right? I can't remember a time where I've ever had it go exactly like this. I'm not saying it hasn't. I'm just saying I personally cannot remember a single time at a sales conversation that's gone step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It never goes like this, right? This is a map. I read somewhere, may or may not be true. I've never verified it because the point remains valid, that a rocket, when they launch a rocket from the Earth to the moon, it's off course like 98% of the time. Like 98% of the time, it's actually off course. And it's constantly readjusting to course, right? Because remember, it's not just left, right. It's left, right, up, down. It's all the different dimensions of off course. It's constantly adjusting. This is a course. This is a map. This is an idealized route from A to Z. This is here to give you something to steer back to when the conversation is going off course, which it will. All right? Make sense? In the beginning, when we're doing our role plays, I'm going to ask you to just stick to the program, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. 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 Wax on, wax off. Just get this down so you feel what it feels like when it goes according to plan. By day 3, you're going to be doing this every which way, and we're going to be able to throw everything at you, and you'll be able to keep it all under control and get it back on track. But if you start trying to freestyle it before you get the basics under control, your whole sales career is just going to be chaotic. Make sense? Any other questions? We're going to go to break. Yes, up here, because you had a question earlier.
If we have a PNC who comes in with unrealistic expectations, and as a result, we do a good job. Client PNC signs on, we do a good job, but that client works away merely satisfied and not a raving fan. Is there something wrong with that?
Well, let me ask the other attorneys in the room. Do you want to have a client who starts the relationship with unrealistic expectations? Look at them, not me. They're all nodding no, they don't.
But there's different levels of expectations, right? You could have a client who expects a certain substantive outcome, and then you might have some nuances like the timing or whatever. If you get them all of the relief that they're asking for, but they walk away saying, I wish it had been faster, is that somebody that you shouldn't have brought on in the first place, or do you just accept that some are going to be raving fans and some are just going to be merely satisfied?
Okay, so I think there's two questions nested together. Question 1, do I think it's realistic that you're always going to be able to be absolutely crystal clear sure that all clients always have a completely realistic expectation? And the answer is no, never. You won't. Why? Because language is an imperfect means of communication. Do I think you should always strive to have total clarity and to make sure the client has completely realistic expectations? Yes, I think you should always strive for that. Why? On any given day, I might put these in a different order. So don't take too much for the order that's coming out of me right now. 1, it's the right thing to do. I think it's the right thing to do to make sure someone has clear, realistic expectations. 2, it's better for your business. You'll make more money if they go in with clear, realistic expectations that can be met or, better yet, exceeded. Reason number 3, it puts you at less risk of bar grievances and malpractice actions if they have more realistic expectations. The more realistic their expectations are, the less risk you are of having bar grievances or malpractice actions. the more clearly those realistic expectations are documented, the more protection you have if and when they have unrealistic expectations or they complain. I probably could think of a lot of other reasons, but I just think it's good business to make sure that people always have the most realistic expectations that we can possibly help them have. One of our live quarterly meetings, the one where the front cover has the guy with the hammer on the front cover of the live quarterly meeting workbook, in that live quarterly meeting, I brought a guest up on stage, a friend, not a friend, a person who I had met in my travels. And in my travels, I had met this person, and this person, I saw him give a really great lesson about online reputation management. And I was really impressed with how well he explained some of the key concepts and principles and ideas of online reputation management. And he and I got to talking, and we had this idea that we were going to maybe start an online reputation management business together. And I said, let's do this. Let's first get I'll ask a few of my members who I know very well if they would be willing to beta test for a few months this online professional reputation management service that you're proposing to offer that we would build together. In the meantime, how'd you like to come up on my stage and educate everyone about principles of online reputation management? He said, great. I said, you got to promise you're not going to make an offer. I don't want you to make any offers on stage because I want to beta test the service to be sure that this is something that I can really get behind and believe in. He said, great, no problem, I understand. He comes on stage. I bring him on stage, right? There's about 250 members in the room at the time. Right now, we have about 400 members. Back then, we had about 250 members. So there's about 250 members in the room. Room roughly twice the size of this one, jam-packed, to give you an idea. I bring this guy on stage. I introduce him. I explain, I met this guy. I explain, we're thinking about doing this business together. I explain, we're beta testing him. Everyone jumps out of their seat. And I said, we already have the beta testers. If you're not one of the beta testers, then you're not one of the beta testers. If you're one of the beta testers, you know you're one of the beta testers. And if you're not sure if you're one of the beta testers or not, you're not one of the beta testers. Don't worry about it. Let us test this thing out before you jump on board with it, and let me make sure that it's really something that I can believe in and stand behind before you hire this guy's services. Do not hire his services. He laughed because it's kind of awkward to be introduced on stage with someone saying, don't hire this guy, right? But he understood. We had agreed ahead of time that I was going to do this. The audience laughs. I say, no, 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 no. I need to hear everyone say with me, please, repeat after me, I will not hire him until after the 90-day beta test, because I said, in 90 days, I'm either going to come back on stage and I'm going to say the beta test was great and we should all think about hiring this guy, or I'm going to come back on stage and I'm going to say the beta test was a disaster and you should run from this guy, or I'm just not going to say anything at all. We all understand? Everyone nods their head. They all laugh. They're like, yeah, ha, 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 RJon, we got it. And I said, no, 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 no. I've been doing this for, at the time, it was 15 years. Now it's 20. I've been doing this for 15 years. I know I need you all to say out loud, we won't hire him. And you can see in the recording, an entire room full of people, I made them say it twice, we won't hire him. And guess what they fucking did? Take one guess. Guess! They hired him! And guess what I found out in the next 90 days? I found out that he did a great lesson about online reputation management, and I found out that his service sucked. And they came back to me and they said, but, and I said, what the fuck did I say? I'm telling you, you cannot go too far in trying to help people have realistic expectations. Even if you think you've gone too far, you still haven't gone far enough. Because some people hear what they want to hear and don't hear what they don't want to hear. So I just think, I just always want people to have the most realistic expectation possible. I never want someone to be disappointed with their experience, ever. And if they're going to be disappointed with this experience, at least let them be disappointed with the experience because we had a realistic expectation to be disappointed from. Let's not have them being disappointed because they had some fantasy in their mind of what they imagined might be possible. And so, you know, the result you get for the person has a lot less to do with their opinion of your firm and what they say about your firm to friends and family, and whether they give you referrals or not, has a lot less to do, the reality of what you do has a lot less to do with the outcome of those things than what they expected. So I just really want you to get to the heart of that stuff. Make sense?
Yeah.
I realize that I went way overboard with my answer, but it's only because it triggers me so powerfully because I've gotten so fucked over by this so many times. I'm just hyper sensitive, and I want to impress upon all of you to just be on the border of paranoid about it. It's a lot more profitable than being casual about it. It's easy to get people to hire your firm. That's not the same thing as making a sale. You want me to get you to buy something? I'll get you to buy something. This is a magic pencil. Adam, it's a magic pencil. I swear on my life, it's magic. You can trust me. I would never lie to you. This is a magic pencil. If you write briefs with this pencil, you'll win all your briefs. It's a magic pencil. It has magical properties. It was made out of magical wood, out of a magical tree that grew in a magical forest that was planted with a magical seed and fertilized with unicorn shit. Here is the evidence that I have that proves that this is a magical pencil made out of a magical tree that was growing in a magical forest. Here's proof. Here's proof. Here's 57 testimonials from people who will agree that when they used this pencil to write their briefs, they won every single brief. It's a magical pencil. Will you please buy this pencil for $100? I really think, I desperately wish you would buy this pencil for $100. It will change your whole life. Wouldn't you want to win your briefs? Don't you want to win your briefs? Don't your clients deserve for you to write their briefs with a magical pencil? Doesn't your family deserve for you to win all your briefs with a magical pencil? It's only $100. Think about all the good you'll do in the world with this magical pencil. Look, buy the magical pencil for $100. Write 5 briefs with it. If you don't win all 5 briefs, I'll give you your money back. That's fair, isn't it? Isn't that fair?
Sounds pretty good.
All right, give me $100 and I'll give you the magical pencil. Can we do this? Can we do this deal? Yes? No? Would anyone like to buy this magical pencil? It's a magical pencil. I'll give you your $100 back. I'll give you $200 back if you write 5 briefs with this magical pencil and you don't win all 5 briefs. Not only will I give you your $100 back, I'll give you another $100 on top of it. Who wants the magical pencil? You gonna buy it?
Yeah.
Right. I got you to buy something. I didn't make a sale. That's a fucking scam. We don't have a relationship. You're not going to be referring people to me. You're not going to be coming back to me for more magical pencils. We're not going to have any kind of lifetime value relationship here. That's a transaction. That's conning you into buying something. That's not called making a sale. A sale is made on honesty. A sale is made based on realistic expectations on both sides. That's when you've made a sale. Y'all get it? I can get you guys to buy anything. I'm really good at this. I can get you to buy anything. I really can. But how many of you, is this your second or third or fourth or fifth workshop that you've been to with me? Raise your hand. Look around. Look around. You see, they didn't come back because I conned them into buying a magical pencil. I set realistic expectations. I value, I respect, I honor, I protect the honesty of our relationship, not just because it's the right thing to do, not just because I'm such a great person, but also because I want to have more lifetime value. And the only way to have more lifetime value is to make sure that people buy my services for the right reasons. If I let them buy my services for the wrong reasons, they're not going to come back for a second workshop, and a third, and a fourth, and a fifth. And they're not going to give me testimonials. And I'm not going to be able to, they're not going to give me referrals. And I'm not going to be able to be in an audience and just randomly be able to ask, Sarah, tell her about the last workshop you went to, and with confidence that she's going to say, it was great, and it helped me, and blah, blah, blah. That's the pragmatic reason why we want to really be careful about making sure people buy professional services for the right reasons. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay.